EU is banning the sale of new ICE cars by 2035. Singapore and UK are doing the same by 2030. Today, 90% of Norway's new car sales are EVs. In this video, I speak with Kelvin, a former mechanical simulations engineer who worked in Nokia and Continental to hear about how German automakers are adapting to change. Click subscribe to stay updated to more videos on Tesla. Kelvin, welcome back to the channel.
Thank you for having me.
What's the sentiment of German automakers today?
I think they are feeling the disruption that Tesla and maybe the Chinese automakers are bringing to the market. So they are scrambling, I think, to change the way they work and to tap into this growing market.
Many of us lived through the recent transition from Nokia to iPhones. Kelvin was helping Nokia produce phones for many years. Why is this trend repeating itself with traditional automakers?
I think they saw it coming, but to steer their processes and the way they have done things, it takes a very big effort and a lot of will to change it. And because of the way that a lot of automakers are set up, they do not have a visionary leader, and it can cause a lot of conflicts and internal struggle between the different kinds of the different divisions, and that will definitely affect the way they work and the way they make products that people want.
On that point, Kelvin, what are the unique strengths that German automakers have compared to Japanese, Korean, Chinese, American automakers?
In Germany itself, you can tap the talent pool, especially because Europe in itself is very big. The European Union provides that ease of getting jobs, and you can relocate easily between countries. So I think that's a unique thing in Germany, and they have that kind of pride to produce very efficient and very precise kind of machines. So I think that is one of their strengths. And of course, not to discount that, you do have very strong brands as well. And those brands have a rich history. And I think that is very unique to Germany.
What would you say would be the unique flaws for German automakers?
For that, I would maybe say, when we go back into history, German's history has been tainted with a lot of wars. So that was because of one leader who, caused a lot of issues, especially in World War One and World War Two. So I think the history or the culture itself makes it, the Germans do not like probably to have one person calling all the shots. They would prefer to have a decentralized kind of consensus kind of working culture. So, and this is actually quite prevalent in the German automakers because, for example, like Volkswagen, the CEO itself, although he has that title, but he's not really like the boss, because he's more like a mediator between the different divisions. You also have the works council, you have the supervisory board, and you have the shareholders, to balance and do that kind of balancing act. I think that is really causing them to be slower in sense of change.
Despite all of those challenges, one German automaker in particular, Volkswagen Group, have actually done a much better job compared to others in transitioning to EVs. Porsche Taycans are among the top 3, top 5 best-selling EVs in many countries, including Singapore. Why is that?
I think because they have shown that if you can create a compelling product from the ground up, you can actually sell it. And of course, this means that the product must be well designed. But if you look at the group as a whole, in my opinion, they do have problems trying to market the more affordable EV segments. So like for example, the ID3 and ID4, because I think they are still being held back a bit from the legacy way of working, and we can see this very apparent in the way that the delays of the Cariat software program, where the supervisory board of Volkswagen has given an ultimatum to Herbadis to find out what's the reason of these delays. So we can see that there's a lot of strife inside the company, and there's a lot of challenges that they still need to push through to really bring EVs to the mass market.
Sometimes it feels almost like 2 steps forward, 1 step back, or sometimes even 2 steps back. China is a huge market for Volkswagen Group, but they've been declining sales there a lot because Chinese consumers are very particular and the software is really important to their users. A few years ago, when Tesla announced intention to build a Gigafactory in Germany, people laughed it off as insane, as impossible. The factory is finally running. They just hit a milestone of producing 1,000 cars in a week. There's still a long way to ramp, but the impact already has been quite profound. What's the biggest change you see in the German auto industry because of Giga Berlin?
I think it will be a wake-up call to most of the German automakers, because the way that they build a factory in that kind of speed, and the way that that Tesla has shown to produce a mass-produced vehicle, albeit slightly pricey, but as you can see, the demand is there. And I think the German automakers will make this as a benchmark. They will, if they want to survive, they most likely have to really make a drastic change in the way they work and the culture in the company. It is not easy and not trivial at all, because of the entrenched interest that we see in their companies, especially with the management style and the culture. Because culture is not something that you can just change overnight, and it has to be nurtured, and it has to be like started somehow. It's not just PowerPoint presentations and you expect people to change overnight.
Pace of innovation is extremely important to Elon Musk and Tesla, and innovation isn't just a process, but a culture, as Kelvin called out. When we see the iPhone revolution, at the end of the entire transition from Nokia to iPhones had about 15% volume share, but almost 80% of the industry's profits. How do you see this playing out for the auto industry and Tesla in the next 10 years?
I think software will really play a big role. Software is in a sense that it's almost all margin, right? There's no cost of goods. It's only in the R&D. It can more or less be like infinitely scalable. So I think that plays a big role, especially when you are talking about the profit margins of a vehicle. So like I think Elon Musk also recently said that the legacy automakers are making money because they have already a fleet of cars, and they are making money from the spare parts that are being sold. So if you want to really command profits on new cars, that is the very important factor to have, to differentiate through software. And to look forward maybe further in the future, I think Tesla having the share of the profits, the majority share of the profits would be not easy, in my opinion, because I think an electronic device and a car is still very different. Yeah, you don't change cars every day. It may be slightly different, but I think the profits wise may not be as apparent as what Apple has in the smartphone industry. But I would say it will be definitely slightly higher than what we are used to in the legacy automakers. So we'll see how it plays out. I don't have really much insight, but from the trajectory, I would say they will be able to command relatively healthy margins.
Thank you, Kelvin, for your insights. Do you think German automakers will be the next Nokia?
Maybe not all of them. Maybe I think the smaller ones may have a chance, because the larger ones, if they don't really change, then it will go down like Nokia. Because like, you know, when you steer a big ship, it's really difficult if you don't really want to change. What I foresee probably in the future is maybe some brands spinning off to separate it, like what I think Ford recently has done, to make a really separate business division for EVs. I think that is what the German automakers will have to do.
I agree. Car companies can choose to evolve or be forced to evolve. And if they become like Nokia, it doesn't mean they disappear. Look at companies like Nokia and Kodak. They still exist today in very different
Different
forms.
forms. Yeah.
They are successful in different niches, but they have changed very significantly as businesses. If you found this conversation useful, please click the like button, hit subscribe to stay updated to more interviews like this. Take care.